finally here. Just in one of those weeks, I guess, but I am. Hopefully, these connectivity issues are over. But man, we got a lot to talk about today, and it's a big day for Coach Prime. Obviously, with his surgeries that he's going into, again, this was the plan for him to take care of all of this before the season would start, before fall camp, hopefully. And man, it's a bummer that we're not going to see him at Pac-12 Media Day tomorrow. But I think Charles Kelly, he's going to do a great job. He's going to do a great job, and I'm really interested to hear about this defense. I think personally, if you follow my channel for a while, you know that I usually kind of gravitate, I think, a little bit more to talking more offense rather than defense. But it's going to be really great to see what he has to say, what players he goes out of his way to mention and to highlight. And that's something that we're going to be really excited about. But prayers up for Coach Prime in his surgery, sending all good vibes and positivity there with his recovery. And yeah, overall, let me know if you're in the chat. Hit that like. Let me know if you're here. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on, and let me bring this up right now, is that we have a possible Pac-12 update with the media deal. Our chancellor, I can never pronounce his name right, Philip DeStefano Finesse, I forget how it is. You know who I'm talking about. He mentioned to the Denver Post earlier this week that the conference would be presented numbers on Thursday. Now, I mean, we've heard this through different sources, I guess, on like tentative dates on when we could expect the different programs and schools to be presented with this with the potential money of a Pac-12 media deal, and it doesn't seem to happen. That should have happened today as we were all working. And I'm kind of at the point right now where I'm highly skeptical of any good news or really just any updates with this stuff ever happening. It's kind of like I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, we'll see if it actually was Thursday today, or if it's just another general Thursday on when these figures are going to be presented. Now, I do think, as I've been talking about this for a while, I do think it is interesting that one, no deal has been signed yet. That's probably because Occam's razor, the simplest solution is usually the correct one. Or I think it's something like that. Or like the obvious reason for why something's happening is usually, the right reason for why it's happening. And I think we haven't seen the Pac-12 sign a media deal because it's probably not a good deal. However, on the flip side, I would have expected CU to have announced by now that they were leaving for another conference next year. Yeah, by now. When we're looking at last year, I guess the SEC stuff with Oklahoma and Texas happened around this point last year, correct? And so we're really reaching a deadline where we need to make a decision here. I would expect, or ideally, I would want that decision done soon. But this may play into Coach Prime and Colorado's hand a little bit, because if we're still sort of free agents going into the year, going into the season, we're going to be able to kind of prove our worth, so to speak, to these other conferences. And as I mentioned the other day, with the SEC or the Big Ten conferences that reportedly have had no interest in CU, and I definitely understand that. But if you're evaluating CU based on the traditional criteria that they have used to bring in new schools into their conferences, yeah, it makes sense of why they want to be interested. However, I think the viewership, I think the buzz this year, it's I think CU is going to be an exception to the rule, so to speak, because Coach Prime's fan base is bigger than CU's. I think that's one thing that I've learned this year, having done this channel now, I think for like 5 months or so. Coach Prime's fan base is freaking ginormous. It is more than other college football fan bases in general, and that's something that, you know, these conferences, these TV companies, they got to pay attention to. So I think right now, if I had to make a prediction based off of the data, the news or lack thereof that I'm hearing, I don't I don't think that that we know where we're playing football in 2024 yet, until maybe that's decided at some point during the year, which I feel like, again, would be unprecedented. But again, this whole thing with Coach Prime coming here is unprecedented. Absolutely. Ronald Murray, prayers going up for Coach Prime and the CU Buffs. Absolutely. We need this man healthy. He has too much going on. He has too much purpose. So much is depending on him. And he believes that, you know, his life's work isn't even close to being completed. This man should not have to deal with any of these issues moving forward. And I pray that that all this last phase that he's in right now with these surgeries, this is the end of it. We cannot have this man have this stuff thrown at him. It's just not right. It's not fair. But if there's anybody that can overcome some of the most I don't know, tough obstacles, it's Coach Prime. I mean, extremely determined, has a high level of perseverance, obviously. And yeah, so y'all let me know if there's anything in particular that y'all want to talk about. I wanted to leave this a little bit open-ended, but I did title this the State of the Union because, you know, I wanted to go ahead and look back to talk a little bit about where we are now from when Coach Prime came in here. Again, we have flipped this entire roster. This is a new team from last year, give or take, you know, maybe 3 to 4 guys that might be starting for this team that were here last year. You know, it's 80-90% a new team, and it's going to be a great case study in the future for taking an aggressive approach to overhauling a dead program. Now, a lot of people, as we've seen throughout the last 5, 6, 7, 8 months, have had issue with this. We pointed them out here on this channel. I mean, to name a few, I guess we could start with the coaches because they're kind of top of mind. We have Pat Narduzzi, head coach of Pittsburgh, saying he would never tell guys to leave his program. We have Oklahoma coach, oh, come on. I just did a video on him on Monday. Brent Venables, bragging to the media about how he went 6-7 because he was patient. He gave those guys a chance, and it led his program to a 7-6 record and a total failure. I mean, I know they lost Caleb Williams, but that was a failure of a year. Talking to my friends who are Sooners fans, Brent Venables, he's got to bounce back this year. Do I think he can do it? Yeah, I think he can. But if he doesn't this year, those fans are going to be impatient. That program can get impatient. And then we talk about the mysterious, unnamed Pac-12 coach that says that this roster is terrible, that says that this thing is going to be a disaster, which I don't get this, y'all. Why do their coaches, their media people, they'll come out and say, you know, either Deion's going to be an amazing success, and they usually say it like that, Deion, or it's going to be a colossal failure and CU is going to fire him very quickly. Why is that? I mean, why are there no scenarios for anything other than the polar opposite ends of the spectrum here? Like, why? It's like they want it to be divisive, but that coach who said that, it's obvious, and I would assume so, that he's spending more time on probably his team, his guys, his recruits, because if you follow this program, this is similar. If you live in Colorado, you know how this is with our other sports teams. We know more about what is being built here with our sports teams than the national media, than other fans outside of this area, of this fan base. And again, the most recent example of this is the Nuggets. Nuggets fans, we've been saying that this is a title caliber winning team for the last 3 years. We just needed our guys from injury back. And then we see the run that we've went on, and people just started watching the Nuggets this playoff round. This is how this team is to me. People do not understand that this is a much better team than a 3-win projected team. This is so much more talented. These guys aren't paying attention to the JUCO guys they brought in, the transfers that they brought in from the SEC, the Big Ten, all of that. They're not paying attention to it. They don't understand the level of athlete that we have, how much improved that is. And again, I've said this in the past. If you take last year's roster and just replace our 5 different quarterbacks we had playing last year with Shedeur Sanders, we win. We win probably 4 or 5 games last year. If you just improve the play calling, I guess you could say, like, if you replace our offensive coordinator with Sean Lewis, you replace the quarterback with Shedeur Sanders, just by coaching and scheme, having a real play caller combined with an NFL caliber quarterback at the college level, you're going to win games. And we got the puzzle pieces to make this even a more well-rounded team, obviously. I mean, we've upgraded at I would say every position we've had. So that's my little ramble right now. Overall, people are still sleeping on this team. And I love to see the hate, the criticism, the jealousy, because that's what it is. People, other coaches, other programs cannot replicate what has been done this year. We're talking about beating Georgia to put our spring game on the one lone primetime ESPN slot for spring game broadcasts. We're talking about a top 21 overall rated composite recruiting class. We're talking about the #1 transfer class in the country. We're talking about how Coach Sanders came in here and got the academic restrictions here lifted so that we could take part in the transfer portal. And our NIL collectives, our donations to the football program as a whole are through the roof. Merch sales are through the roof. We have prime branded gear, not only online, but in all of our campus stores. And I've never seen this throughout my life. We're seeing Denver Broncos players, guys who are making, for better or for worse, $250 million like Russell Wilson, coming up to see you to spend time up there. We're seeing Lil Wayne in Boulder. Are you serious? Lil Wayne? And soon, and Snoop Dogg said this, once the Trojans leave for the Big Ten, CU is going to be his Pac-12 team. I hope that we see Snoop Dogg here on campus, but we're bringing people that I never would have expected ever to set foot in Boulder, coming here as a destination. And so Coach Prime, he has put not only this team on the map, he's put the entire school program. He's breathed life. He is nothing short. I've said this. He's nothing short of a miracle worker. And there is no coach that could have come in here, I am convinced, including Nick Saban, because he's not the promoter. He is not the showman that Coach Prime is. Nobody is. Lane Kiffin, I love Lane Kiffin. He is not the showman Coach Prime is. Nobody is on his level. Nobody could be doing what he is doing right now, and people just are jealous of it. So we're going to see us, eclipse national expectation, which is that betting line of 3.5 games. We're going to see it, no doubt, because people, you know how it is. They're just reading the headlines. They're not actually doing the work. They're not actually taking time to appreciate who is coming into this program, what their strengths and weaknesses are, where they're at as an athlete. And they're making lazy comparisons, saying, well, this was a one-win team. There's no way that a coach can come in here and do much better. But heck, we've seen it happen as soon as recent as last year. Y'all don't remember Sonny Dykes. He did so well with that Cal program, with a lack of funding, with academic restrictions off the chain. Cal put in a crazy, I mean, it's off my mind, the specific number right now, but during his tenure at Cal, he put in a ton of guys into the NFL, including first overall pick Jared Goff from Cal. See him help revitalize and lay that foundation of the revival of SMU that we're getting now. And then we see him go to TCU, where there was a decent talent base there, but questions at the quarterback position, questions about the ceiling of that team, and coming in there, getting a decent transfer class, but also instilling a top-notch culture of accountability and coaching, quality coaching. You see the difference it made with an average team like TCU. They took the leap to the college football national championship. I mean, we can argue if that was warranted or not. I think it has to do with Texas not exceeding or not meeting expectation as much as it does TCU exceeding theirs. But nonetheless, those are the results. And they beat Michigan, right? Yeah, they beat Michigan, which you cannot take that away from them. That was a real solid win. And we're going to see something like that. I think we can see something like that happen here with Coach Prime. There are definitely multiple scenarios in which this team exceeds expectation. I do think that this Pac-12 this year is stronger than where the Big 12 was at last year, if we're comparing TCU and CU this year. And I know. We were, leading TCU the first half of last year. But, sometimes teams, they can just take a little while to get going, to find the right rhythm. In their case, to even find their right quarterback. They had multiple quarterbacks playing there. But this is going to be an exciting year. I don't want us to forget about how far we have come. I don't want us to take this for granted as Bucs fans on where we're at. And moving forward, the expectations are only going to increase as they should. But we need to appreciate that, this is once in a lifetime. We're going into the first year of this. We're never going to have a first year of this ever again. And this is time to make sure that we appreciate every day, that we appreciate every moment. This is the first time we're going to see this team coming up in 44 days. Somebody mentioned here in the comments. I feel like the tension, the anticipation, it's different. It's different from anything else that I've experienced, like in my sports fanhood life. And we cannot discount that. We can't take it for granted. But anyways, thank you for listening to my State of the Union, I guess, so to speak. I'll get into your comments. There's a lot of people that I need to say hi to. And sorry I wasn't on yesterday, but I really appreciate all of you. Yes, Trevor Branch, 44 days till TCU sees the day. They don't want Coach Prime to succeed because if he does, they look bad. Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to look foolish. What I hate about all these talking heads is that they'll somehow spin it to make it look like, what they did was correct. Zion, being straight up with you, David, these older white men are intimidated by this strong black man. They are not used to this type of swagger coming into the Pac-5. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I've said this on my channel. We live in America. Like, we cannot be so ignorant to not understand that some of this criticism from some of these people come out of whether they're subconscious or conscious racial biases. Absolutely. With an outspoken, loud, confident black man like Coach Prime coming into the spotlight in college football, people are threatened by that. Other coaches are threatened by that. And they try to take down his character. And what I would encourage you to do is, definitely go and look and see who these media sources are funded by or who their parent companies are, because, I've seen some people on here criticize or get at some of the college football guys that have criticized Coach Prime or tried to assassinate his character in some sense. And then you look and, they're funded by the Daily Wire. Like, they're part of the Daily Wire media group. And if you know anything about the Daily Wire media group, well, that explains everything in terms of why they're doing that. So y'all pay attention to who you're listening to and make sure that you support that are standing up for truth. But yeah, like, these coaches are such hypocrites. I pointed this out in other videos, but with Art Briles, heck, with Bobby Petrino, man, there's more coaches with scandal that I'm trying to think of that I can't right now. But these guys covering up all these sexual assaults and rapes and guys cheating the system, whether it's paying players or yada yada, which I don't really have an issue with paying players, before all this, but some people did. It's all of a sudden these other white coaches they don't have this. They don't feel the responsibility to come out and make their opinion known with all these other guys. Urban Meyer, it's just embarrassing. We know it all by now. Buffs Nation Daily, good to see you, dude. Al Love, good to see you. We definitely upgraded. Carpet Tech, any information on the college meeting today? I assume you're talking about the, let me get on Twitter, the Pac-12 media deal. Y'all gonna have to update me if y'all know. Sport Geek, good to see you. Al Love, you're right, more celebrities are gonna come. This is just the start of it. This place is becoming a destination. That is just so cool to see. Seize the day, bringing up a great point. Not only is Coach Prime putting this program and school, alumni base, players in the spotlight of the media, but we are building an NFL breeding ground. We're building our own farm system. We're building a coaching farm system. That is underrated too. Like people have said in these documentaries, these coaches, Coach Prime's going to make a lot of coaches head coaches. And it's going to be really cool to see what develops, how the Coach Prime coaching tree branches out and grows. And what's cool about that is, I think here in a few years, heck, even as soon as next year, if things, go the ultimate successful scenario, we might see Sean Lewis be one and done or whatever. I'm about to become a fan of a lot more college football teams because of that that coaching tree that Coach Prime's putting out there. Heck, I already have my eye now on Jackson State with TC, Coach TC Taylor there. Zion, jealousy brings hate, which is showing them these Power 5 coaches being upfront with the dislike for what CU is doing instead of focusing on the business that pays them. Absolutely. And people, they don't like seeing people do things differently or against the grain. Having worked in the corporate world, I guess, for like the last couple of years until this last month, I mean, yeah, these sorts of systems that have been in place for a while, like college football has, There's a certain expectation and a way of doing things. And if you come in and you think differently, people are going to get upset. They're going to get frazzled. They're going to get scared. They're going to get, they're going to get all opinionated about that. Seize the day. I'm going to Denver this weekend. Any suggestions? I'm going to leave you 2 suggestions that are Denver staples. One, go to Meow Wolf. Go to Meow Wolf. Give yourself like 3 hours at least. Look into it. It's an incredible experience, and it's one of my favorite things to visit out here, aside from like all the typical stuff. And then make a reservation, see if you can. They're still doing like their soft launch or opening, Casa Bonita. It's a real place. It's not just in South Park or the cartoon. It's now owned by the South Park creators. They have remade it. They brought it back to life, and there's a hidden Cartman statue in there as well that you can take a photo with. It's great. And then lastly, if you are looking to spend some decent money in the Rhino area, River North in Denver, Working Class is my favorite restaurant down there. They do a fried chicken special only on Sundays, so that would be my suggestion. I love 42 watching, 22 likes. Let's go everybody. We're at 41 and 24. Let's keep going. Let's keep growing. Appreciate y'all's support. The few coaches talking negative are not confident in themselves. Teammates is saying this. CP never talks negative about any coaches. He's confident. They are jealous that all sports media talks about CU now. Absolutely. And it's kind of like one of those things similarly where we see like college football fans like really wish ill will on these high school players that like flip from their school or don't commit to their school. And it really shows you where you're at as a person if you're like getting mad at a teenager. And as a grown man, I just even if I feel like their decision might be foolish or immature, I just can't ever get to my I can't get to the point where myself like wishes hate on someone else. Like, what the hell is wrong with people these days? You know what I'm saying? You're absolutely right, teammates. Coaches, man, they're the same way. Carpet Tech, believe that. Thank you for tuning in. Dijon Eggleton. Facts, David. I appreciate you checking in. Zion, you see all the hate on Twitter, and they get really low talking about his health and the foot issue. These college fans are getting really low with the self-hate for a man that doesn't bother them. Absolutely. And honestly, it has no impact on their life. I mean, that's just what it is. But man, there are people that, take this college football stuff as life and death, with their fanhood. And I don't know. I think as I've just gotten older, you just learn to have perspective. And, when I'm older than, for instance, like half the NBA players, it's just, I don't know, your perspective just changes as you get older. I'm not going to be upset for a guy doing this or that. I could be disappointed, but it's not going to affect my life to where I'm crapping on him on Twitter like that. Zulu, it's good to see ya. Oh man, my wife's in here. No, it's all good. I was gonna keep this 30 minutes anyway. I'll finish up in a minute. Oh, that's so funny. But man, I really do appreciate you guys. I'll go ahead and read these last 2 comments, or 3. Zulus, yes, go to Red Rocks. Seize the day. Beautiful. Alan Keith, these coaches criticizing Coach Prime are simply fearful of his ability to recruit at the 4 or 5-star level. Everyone knows recruiting is a salient factor for success in Division I football, and I need to say this. People have been criticizing the lack of recruits. What do we got? 7 guys right now in the class of 2024. I don't care. I'd much rather get the right guys, have a smaller number if they're the right quality, and we're going to own the transfer portal next year. We're going to own it. We're going to own it times 2 compared to what we did this year with it. I'm not even worried. It's just a different strategy and approach. Carpet Tech, Georgia Bulldogs has the weakest schedule. They guarantee playoffs. They set up for success. Yes, and they do have a lot of money over there as well, but the SEC schedule of only playing 8 conference games is the softest thing ever, and hopefully that changes at some point. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you all. I will be back again later this week. Again, let me know if you're watching the replay what your thoughts on are on all of these things. Again, prayers up for Coach Prime. We'll see if we get an update with all this Pac-12 media stuff tomorrow. And as always, Sco Buffs.